Lay me on your riverbed tonight.
Hey, what's going on? This is Madam, and I'm coming back to you again. This is from the NewYorkTimes.com, and it says North Carolina City approves reparations for Black residents. Yes, you have heard me right. Black reparations in North Carolina. The measure passed by the City Council of Asheville, North Carolina, would prove funding to be promoted home ownership and business opportunities, but stopped short of supplementing direct payments. Let's be clear. You gotta crawl before you walk. This article is done by Neil Vigdor, and it says, as Americans debate how far the country should go to make amends for slavery and other racial injustices, a conversation reawakened by the killing of George Floyd, a city in North Carolina has taken the first step. It approved reparations for Black residents. The city of Asheville, North Carolina, will approve funding to programs geared towards increasing home ownership and business and career opportunities for Black residents as part of the reparation incentive. The measure was unanimously approved the Ashburg City Council on Tuesday night, but it will stop short of supplementing direct payments, which are usually associated with reparations. City leaders said their goal was to help create generational wealth for Black people who have been hurt by income, educational, and health care disparities. The city, which is in western North Carolina, has about 93,000 residents. Also apologized for participation in the sanctioning of slavery, as well as the historic injustice put against Black people, who make up about 12% of the city's population. Councilman Keith Young, who is one of the two Black men on the council, was one of the measure's chief proponents. He said during the group's meeting, the systemic change was long overdue. Hundreds of years of blood spilled that basically filled the cup we drank from today, Mr. Young said. The momentum of reparations was not limited to Asheville. In Providence, Rhode Island, the mayor signed an executive order on Wednesday to commence a truth-telling and reparations process. The Providence Journal reported in California, a bill creating a task force to develop reparation proposals for African Americans was passed in an assembly in June and was being considered by the Senate. But some said the reparations intended by the city leaders in Asheville did not go far enough, and others penned it outright. William A. Darley Jr., a professor of the public policy at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina, wrote in an email on Wednesday night that he was deeply skeptical about local and principal actions to address various forms of racism inequality being labeled reparations. For reparations to be effective, he wrote, they would have to close the pre-tax racial wealth disparity in the United States, which will cost about $10 to $12 trillion, 3 to 4 times more than the state in mutual spending. Some piecemeal reparations take slightly and collectively at those levels of government cannot meet the debt for American racial injustice, he wrote. As part of the resolution passed, by the council city leaders in Ashburn called on the state of North Carolina and the federal government to provide funding for reparations. Councilwoman Shanika Smith, who was also black, said during the council meeting that she heard from residents who challenged the reparations measure. A lot of the feedback were given and were gotten so far by email is to know, why should we pay for what happened during slavery? Ms. Smith said, and the pushback against that is reparations is more than reconciliation for what happened during a transatlantic slave trade. It is a dark, evil sin of the chattel slavery that is rooted in all injustice and inequality that is in the American life today. The developments in Asheville came after nationwide protests against police brutality and systemic racism, which were catalyzed by Mr. George Floyd's killing in late May. A Minneapolis police officer kept his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck for more than 8 minutes. In an episode that was captured on video by bystanders, the officer and three other officers involved were fired and charged with Mr. Floyd's murder. This is a pretty long one, so amidst the demonstration, Confederate statues have been toppled by protesters or taken down by local governments, and lawmakers on the level have introduced police reform. There has been a renewal push for some members of Congress to create a commission to study the impact of slavery and to make recommendations for reparations. Several times in American history, people have compensated for historical injustice from Japanese Americans who were interned during the World War II to the victims of police brutality, in Chicago. It is simply not enough to remove statues, Mr. Young said during the council's meeting. Black people in this country are dealing with issues that are systemic in nature. Okay? Some said that the city actions by the Ashburn City Council could set a precedent. I just hope that we will be just maybe a little spark that will get this conversation not only going in Ashburn but in North Carolina and across the country. Councilwoman Gwen Whistler said, who is also the city's vice mayor, said before the group vote. Okay, so that's everything that's basically going on. Yes, in North Carolina, Asheville, they have taken measures, and a couple of other places have taken measures to essentially right the wrongs and the injustices of what people of color, African Americans, have went through, and I think it's about time. One of my arguments have always been, so many people got reparations, and the United States didn't even have anything directly to do with it except liberating the people. But we paid reparations to Jewish descendants of the Holocaust, the descendants of Pearl Harbor, so on and so forth. I mean, why does it have to be so hard to get this done when they have done this for every other tragic incident that's happened to a set of people? But again, it is what it is. But it is a stepping point. It is a starting place, and I just hope that it catches like wildfire. Please tell me what you think about this. Please don't forget to comment down in the comments. Let's get a dialogue going and see where we can take this on YouTube or see, just get your general opinion. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And until then, you guys,
I'll be there.